History books tell the American Revolution as a story of heroes and ideals of freedom. But here is the truth. The real force that shapes history is not guns or cannons, it's money. How do you fight a superpower when you can barely find an army? What happens when the only currency you have is worth less than a sheet of paper? In this video, we will pull back the curtain and explore the economic war hidden behind the American Revolution. This is not just a story of an army, it is the story of an economy breaking through its chains. Welcome to Money History Documentaries. Today's story will be a little different from the history lessons you learned in school. Together, we are going to set out an epic journey through the history of economics and money. If you are ready, let's begin. Mid-18th century. The Seven Years' Wars has shaken the world. Britain defeats France and takes full control of North America. A great victory, but with a terrible price. Debts, massive debts. Britain's national debt doubles, reaching £130 million, an unbelievable number for that era. The kingdom needs cash immediately. London's financiers look at the map and their eyes lock onto the American colonies. Their logic is simple. We fought this war to protect them. They should pay the bill. And with that, the first cracks of economic conflict begin to appear. To recover from the war, Britain unleashes a wave of new taxes, not random, not accidental. Each one is a chain tightening the colonial economy. The Sugar Act, a tax on sugar and molasses, a direct hit to daily life. The Stamp Act, a tax on newspapers, court documents, and even basic paperwork. Suddenly, writing costs money. The Townshend Acts, glass, paper, paint, all taxed again. And here comes the breaking point, the Tea Acts. The British East India Company is granted full monopoly over tea, a move that crushes American merchants. This isn't about pennies, this is about London's giant corporations suffocating the colonial economy. And anger explodes into one single phrase, no taxation without representation. But the taxes were only the part of the problem. The colonies lived under a strict mercantilist system. They could trade only with British ships. They had to buy key goods from Britain, and the raw materials they produced were processed in British factories and sold back to them at higher prices. The colonies worked, and Britain profited. And Americans saw it clearly. We work, they win. This was an invisible shackle that held the economy hostage, and this anger exploded in a very unexpected place. December 16, 1773. A night that changed everything. 342 chests of tea lifted from British ships and dumped into the dark waters of Boston Harbor. Not just a protest, a message. We choose our own future. But Britain responds brutally. Boston Harbor is closed, sanctions intensify, economic pressure tightens. But something unexpected happens. The more Britain pushes, the stronger revolution grows. And in the end, April 19, 1775, the war begins. And immediately, the colonies faces a crisis. Not a military one, a financial one. The Continental Congress cannot collect taxes. They have no steady income, no way to fund an army. So they take a risk, they print money, the continental currency. Patriots accept it at first, but there is no gold behind it, no reserves, nothing. And economics wins again. Production stays the same, money supply explodes. So inflation erupts. The value of the Continental collapses. Soldiers cannot be paid. The economy spirals downwards. And then Britain also strikes from the shadows. The British begin printing fake Continental notes and flooding them into circulation. At some point, after 70% of Continental money in circulation was counterfeit. So the trust disappears, currency dies. In 1776, $1 worth of gold traded for one continental currency. But only 5 years later, 1781, you had to pay 168 continentals just to get the same $1 worth of gold. People began saying it is not worth a continental. The war is no longer just on the battlefield, it is in the marketplace, it is in every soldier's pockets. And in this chaos, a new hero emerges, Robert Morris, the man they call the financier of the revolution. As Congress fails to manage the economy, Morris steps in. He uses his personal fortune, his reputation, even his credit to keep the army alive. But one man cannot defeat an empire. America needs something bigger. It needs foreign goals. And at this point, Benjamin Franklin travels to Paris, not for diplomacy, but for money. France, Britain's ancient rival, sees an opportunity here. Weakening Britain is worth any cost. So France sent loans, silver, gold, weapons, and navy. Spain and Netherlands follow. Without French gold and the French fleet, the victory at Yorktown would have remained a dream only. And I would like to add a quick side note just here. At the time, King Louis XVI of France decided to support the American Revolution to strike a blow against England. As French gold flowed into America, he was, of course, unaware that he was paving the way for his own destruction. After the colonies won the war and established a democracy, this idea spread rapidly to Europe, sparking the French Revolution of 1789. In the end, Louis fell into his own trap. The very freedom movement he supported grew, reached his own shores, and cost him his throne, and along with his head. Now, back to our story. As the war drags on, Britain grows weaker, trade falls, war costs explode, taxes rise, and with this, public anger grows, debt climbs towards crisis. Britain realizes a brutal truth. Winning this war will cost more than losing it. So Yorktown is not just a military defeat, it is the moment Britain's treasury gives out. When the money ends, soldiers surrender. On September 3rd, 1783, the Treaty of Paris is signed. America is free. But the morning after the celebration comes the headache. A mountain of debts, a broken economy, inflation everywhere. States taxing each other, veterans thrown into prison for unpaid taxes. Shahist rebellion erupts. The new nation stands on the edge of collapse. So the founding fathers learn a hard truth. Freedom cannot survive without a strong economic system. This crisis becomes the reason why the United States Constitution is written and why Alexander Hamilton built the American financial system from the ground up. So here is the invisible truth of the revolution. Freedom is not won by war alone, it is won with money. The American Revolution was one of the greatest economic gambles in history, fought with unbacked currency, personal sacrifice, and foreign gold. History remembers the heroes, but economics remembers who paid the bill. And this remains the ultimate lesson. Without economic independence, political independence is only a dream. And here we have come to the end of our story. If you liked my video, subscribe to my channel for more fascinating stories about financial history. I hope to see you in our next video, which will be about another fascinating story. Till then, take care.